Hi, I'm Stephen Hunt from Archery Supplies, and today we're going to review this new release from Scott Archery called the Solus. Did I get that right? Solus. Weird name. Maybe it's in some other language. But anyway, Scott make really good releases. Okay, there's a lot of brands on the market. Scott has been there for a number of years. They're well priced, they're high quality. In 40 years of selling archery gear, Scott has been excellent. I'm trying to think about releases that have failed. Scott had a thumb release aid once which failed, and I think I replaced two of them, and that was many, many years ago, and they didn't even ask questions, they just replaced it. Besides that, I haven't had any Scott release aids fail, and that's thousands and thousands of release aids. I'm going to say I've had no trigger issues, I've had really no problems. Right, so they've been just rock solid. They're made in the USA. So there's some products which say made in the USA and then you kind of question them, but apparently this is all made in-house in the factory. So I'm going to say some products are made in the US but sourced overseas. As my understanding is, Scott is all made in the US, right? So my understanding, I could be wrong, that's my understanding, right? It's just high quality stuff. I've had no failures. This is new. It looks like the old release aids that Scott had produced before, so I'm a bit confused with it. They come in two connectors. One's the hard connector and one's an NCS connector. The NCS connector is a bit of nylon that you can adjust the length. This is the hard connector. You can change the length by the little screw there to make it shorter or longer. This is set in its shortest position. It's got a swivel, like so. So that spins around. That's so you're not pulling on your D-loop in some sort of way and going wear your D-loop out, basically. A lot of people wear their D-loops out through pulling and torquing. I don't have that problem, but I know archers who do. It's a very common problem. This connector system, this is plastic, this is metal on bearing, so that's where you're getting ready to shoot the thing. When you want to fold it out the way, it just flips like that, and that way it sort of is out the way. You can have it so it hangs. I don't know why you'd have it for hanging, but you normally have it set there. Leather straps. These are really, really good. Scott do have replaceable straps for releases, and I do sell them. I can't recall ever selling one, and I'm sure I have sold them, but they're generally really good. They're well made, they're well stitched. They're a good product. This release aid reminds me of other Scotts, and hence I really don't know the difference. So this system here, so this is like for a D-loop, it's got automatic reload. So you can see when you shoot, you press the button and the little trigger comes back down. There's a little spring in there pushing this back down. I had a customer in the other day with an old Scott, and this was a little bit, I'm going to say it wasn't going down that well. There's just a little bit of rust in there. We put a dob of WD-40 just on the spring and it ran just back as normal. This is in the other Scott systems, this is a hair trigger. They're always very nice. We're going to fit it and we're going to try it. Scott release aids are generally well priced in the marketplace. They're generally not sky high. This is interesting. I can't get that through there, so it's kind of, so that's different. So Scott have made this fatter there and thinner there, so it kind of just sits there, so you get your hand through it. Right, I like the buckle system, so my buckle's in the same spot. Look, I think this is going to be too short for me, but we're going to try this first off because that's what I do in my videos. I think it would make more sense for Scott to have this set where the average shooter is, right? So that's just, look, I think it's just going to be crazy. It's not going to work. I'm not going to be able to get that to work. So I'm going to say in the past, I've criticized Scott for their packaging. And if ever I criticize a company, I risk the chance of losing my dealership and companies get angry with me. Scott was excellent. Scott said, yeah, look, we'll fix our packaging, and they did. They're like, we'll take those points on that you said, we agree, and they changed the packaging. So now the product's accessible. So I'm just getting an Allen key. Look, it makes sense if Scott had an Allen key in here. And, you know, with global waste and all that sort of stuff, I understand why you don't. But you get the release aid. You don't know where to set it. And I understand for packaging, you're doing, so there's a screw out. I'm just going to move this up to, I don't know, let's try the middle one. Oh, and the other side's got the half sizes, so if it's just a little bit out, you just put this in and like so. So we go to the middle setting. It'll probably be on the biggest, and I don't have huge hands, but we'll try middle setting. Look, I assume Scott do that because it just looks better in the package. I'd prefer it to be set so that the average shooter who wants to have a twang, it's just right. Otherwise you're sort of setting yourself up, and you look, that probably doesn't look as nice as it thing, but it suits anyone. Right. Okay, so the bow I'm shooting is a Elite Verdict. Some people ask me why I shoot this bow. It's because I like it. It's very adjustable, easy to tune. Not that I really do much tuning. If you did need to tune your bow, it's easy to tune, right? I find that I like the grip. I like the price point. I like the way it's shot. It had the roller slides here, which I like. It had the draw stop that I like. I'd like it in red. Right. Finger away from your face. So the trigger away from your face. Some people like have the trigger towards your face, trigger away from your face. So loading the release is easy. It loads easy. Finger behind the trigger when you're ready to shoot. I'm saying this because like I make these videos for the average shooter. So finger behind the trigger when you pull back aiming at the target. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to say, while it feels like a hair trigger, when you get back here and you're under tension, it's not a hair trigger. It requires very little movement to set the trigger off, but it's clearly not a hair trigger. There's a fair bit of force required to activate this thing. Is that a good or bad thing? Right? I think it's nice. I don't mind it. It's the release feels comfortable to me. I want my finger more over the trigger, so I'm going to put another. I'm going to make the wrist strap a little bit tighter, or I can make this bar shorter. So, and that's just something you're going to have to experiment with. Now, one reason I like the Elite bow is you can experiment with the bow. You can change the lead off, you can change how long the valley is, you can change your draw length to pretty much anything, you can fit the limb stops on, you can change anything you want. Now for the average punter, it's probably too much adjustability, because the average person doesn't know the difference between A and B. And for that person, your Hoyt and Matthews is ideal because you've got no adjustments. You can't adjust anything on the bow. You just have to buy the bow and there you go shoot. And that's not me having a shot at Hoyt or Matthews. With your Elite bow, you can change the length of the valley. And this is not a video about the Elite bows. This release is the same deal. You can change the length of the strap or the length of this, and the NCS system is the same. You can just change the length of it, and you'll have people who play around with stuff forever, but just go shoot. Look, I think on releases, I think I prefer the trigger further down. The reason why this trigger's further up, it makes the draw length longer so that you get more energy out of the bow. So your hand's up closer, and if you want your hand back further, then you're actually increasing your draw length. Okay, so more draw length is more power. So for 3D archery, the longer your draw length, the more speed you've got, and that's why they have the trigger up close. But for comfort's sake, I think I prefer the trigger back further, but let's just have another shot. So this time my finger's more over the trigger. Look, I'm struggling on seeing the difference between this release and the other Scotts, which look the same. And I'm going to compare it, I'm going to say, to the Rhino. And I think that's the other Scott, which looks the same. From when I did the review, which is a while ago. I know what it feels like. I think I prefer the Rhino to this, and I'd have to try them both together. There's nothing wrong with this release aid. It's perfectly great. It'll last you a lifetime. I feel like the Rhino, the trigger was a little bit more sensitive, and you can adjust the sensitivity on this. You've got, I assume, that little screw on the front, and you've got a screw on the back there. I assume that's for adjusting the travel and the sensitivity. Again, I'm going to say, Scott, make a high quality product. It is so similar to the other Scott releases. I'm struggling to see the difference, and that's the problem. Maybe Scott have stopped producing the Rhino or the other one, which looked like this, and this is the replacement for it. But overall, it feels nice. It's high quality. The reloading feature's nice. The strap's nice. The adjustability's good. So my questions I have about release aids. This here, I have my finger in close to the head here. Maybe I'd prefer a curved trigger. Look, it's the way Scott is. I think Scott do have some curved triggers. But look, this is a nice product. But I'm failing to see the difference between this and other Scott. So maybe I'll pull up some other Scott release aids to remind myself on where this is. Maybe it's just something as simple as like that exists on this one and it doesn't exist on the other ones. But I don't see the difference between this and the other Scotts on the market. Scott have a couple of different caliper systems. They have a single jaw and a double jaw. So one which closes like this and one which is like this for D loops. Look, I've shot them all. Some people are scared of this system here because they're worried it'll come off their D loop as they're pulling back. Look, it's never going to come off. It's a good system. I fail to see the difference. In shootability, I fail to see the difference. Maybe this is a bit quicker because you just hook it in and you pull it back. Where with a normal system, you have to open the jaw or close the jaw to shoot the thing. So you've got a step process where this, you just hook it, shoot. So maybe this is quicker. So when choosing a release aid, have a feel of the release aid and go, look, I like the idea of a dual calipers or a single caliper or this system. To me, it makes no difference. I just don't think it's an issue. To me, I prefer the trigger down further. I prefer the trigger down here. Although I'm going to give up half an inch, so my hand's going to be in a slightly different position here. But that's what I am more comfortable with. But the trigger in this position is done for a reason. right? So it's done to move your hand forward so you can have a longer draw length. But I prefer the trigger down further. But overall, Scott make a great product. Solus. It's interesting. It's just, to me, it's just so similar to the other products before it, and maybe I'll go and pull up the other pictures of the other ones, but I'm not sure why Scott have done this one. But it's got all the bits that you want, the strap, all the adjustability, everything you want in a release aid. Tan system's new, so look, it's good stuff. Anodizing, I'm going to say some anodizing fades. Scott's pretty good. Red anodizing fades to a pink. The brown should be pretty good with time. So, you know, in 10 years, I suspect this release aid just looks as good. The wrist strap will be more comfortable. This has got padding in it. Feels comfortable on the wrist strap. And the pricing will be alright. I don't know how much this is priced at because I haven't priced it yet. I'm Stephen Hand from Archery Supplies. Thanks for watching. Bye.